John is about to reveal what your audience wants to hear from you. He'll introduce Mosh's social content production framework, and you'll learn how to produce engaging content efficiently. So please join me in welcoming John Randles.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So really good session so far. All I can do is try not to stuff it up from now, I guess. I've got a clicker somewhere. So, yeah, thanks for coming. So today is very much about giving you a strong platform to base your social media marketing on. So for those of you who are new to this area, you should leave with a little bit more confidence and a little bit more understanding. And for those of you who are quite experienced, then today should plug some gaps for you and give you some frameworks that you can work with and take back with your teams. It's very much about how to approach social media content successfully. And it's going to be quite a comprehensive session, so do take notes. Feel free to ask questions, which might damage the video action. Well, I'll just repeat them back. And do expect to feel a little bit groggy at the end of it. I probably will. So super quickly, my company, like we said, we started 10 years ago, and we've got a really good handle on what works in New Zealand. And that's the crux. You can't take what necessarily works in the States or even Australia and try and do it here because we're such a small market. So it's so different. And as Jordan was sort of standing up here before, we're very Kiwi. We're quite cynical as people. We don't get into the rah-rah stuff as much. Park was probably wondering, why aren't we hooting and hollering and waving our arms around? So we're all pretty chill. So it takes quite a bit to get us to engage. So that's what today is going to be about. And yeah, just on that, so we approach content the same across all these types of brands. So this should work for you. And if it doesn't, I'll have a stern word with you afterwards. So first, some context. So there's been a real big shift into where people spend their time. So I think in 2013, it was measured that we spend more time online than we do watching TV. So we've had these glowing boxes in our living rooms for years and years and years. And now we spend more time on our laptops, and certainly we spend our time here. In 2014, it was measured that people spend more of their online time on social media than they do watching porn. So give yourselves a round of applause, everybody. We're clearing up the internet. Good job. So Facebook, I'll just throw some numbers at you. So Facebook in New Zealand has over 3 million users, and 2.3 million log in every day. And just to give you some context, one of our biggest websites is stuff.co.nz, and it gets about 2 million visitors a month. Facebook gets that every day. I think I heard something that the average person logs into Facebook 14 times a day. And you're thinking, what are they doing? But people wake up, they check their phone. They're standing in a bus line or in a queue, they check their phone. Some people, and I'm sure it's not you guys, are checking their phone while they're on the toilet as well. And if it is you, please wash your hands. So we know where your audience is, but it's still hard to reach them. Why? We know they're online. Why is it hard to reach them? This is where you can shout and hoot and holler and stuff like that. Noise, yeah. It's just so crowded. So you're not just competing with other brands, you're competing with people's friends and family for their attention. So if you think your product is so amazing, oh my God, check out my product, that's nothing compared to my mum and my dog in my newsfeed. So we really need to work hard to engage people and cut through this cluttered newsfeed. So standing out, cutting through, it's the importance of content and understanding that we really need to engage people. And that's the power of this medium. So it's very different. I don't remember the last time I came home from work opened up the mailbox, picked up a direct mail leaflet and thought, this is so amazing, I'm going to run inside and photocopy it and hand it out to my friends and family. I just don't remember doing that at all. But social media is built to get this kind of viral nature. So one click, one share, your product, your message can be shared through people's friend networks. So if people aren't engaging with your content, you're totally missing a trick in using this medium. If you're here just broadcasting to people, you're not doing this particularly well. So we hold a high standard on engagement. That would be the number one metric that we sort of use. Do people actually give a shit about the content that I'm putting out there? And if not, then you're putting out the wrong content, or you're targeting the wrong people. So super quickly, if this is your Facebook page, that screen's your Facebook page, and you put your photo up there, here's your product, wonderful looking product. Now, most people think then they've done their job. So we put it up on Facebook, and we've done our job. And then you go and make a cup of tea or whatever else you guys do. But no one sees it there. People don't see your content on your Facebook page. So where do they see it? In their feed, right? In their news feed. In the news feed. So this screen is the news feed. That's your Facebook page. That's the news feed. So that's where people spend their time. So again, the first lesson is that you need to cut through the noise and be engaging enough to make me scroll past my mum, scroll past my dog, and then engage with your product or service. Now, that would be wonderful if everything you posted went to the news feed of your target audience. But if your Facebook page has 100 fans, how many of them are going to get your content in their news feed? About 5, yeah, 2 to 6%. So you've got 100 fans, or you're building up, oh my God, we've got 1,000 fans, we've got 10,000 fans. But it doesn't mean anything if they're not engaging, because your content isn't even reaching the news feed. Why doesn't it reach the news feed? The algorithm. I usually draw an algorithm, and it's like a squiggly line. So if you're in a pub quiz and they go, what does an algorithm look like? Draw a squiggly line, I reckon, and you'll get points if I'm the adjudicator in the pub quiz. So the algorithm determines what goes from there and ends up in there. So again, it's not everything. So many people are creating content, and it's just a waste of time. You're wasting your time, or even worse, you're wasting money because you're paying other people to create content. So they're creating all this wonderful stuff that lives there, and no one sees it. So if people aren't engaging with your content, then you're not signaling, they're not signaling to Facebook, this is worthwhile. So there's two ways we can, the algorithm's got like 100,000 variables, and there's at least 2 of them that we can have direct control over. One is we can spend a little bit of money. Facebook really likes money. And the other one is we can create engaging content that people actually care about, and they will start to spread that through their friend networks. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The first step is what I want you to think about is why are we doing this? What are we going to say, and why? And who are we going to target? So we need clear objectives. That's not me. Somebody else did that. Clear objectives. So, thinking about why you're actually using social media. And I've given you some little workbooks there, and I just want you to sort of think about why it is that we'll start working with the workbooks shortly. But just for 1 minute, I just want you to, at your tables, just talk to each other. Why are you using social media? You've got a minute, and I've actually got a counter that will tell me. Okay, that was about a minute, and the people at home watching on the video were probably a little bit bored at this stage. They might have made a cup of tea or something. But just shout out. So why are some of us using social media?
Random
Brand awareness, okay. Fun. Say that again. Engagement, okay. Customer service. Positioning, yep. Product understanding. Wow, there's heaps of reasons of why we're doing it. So my next question, though, is what I want you to start thinking about is, let's say, brand awareness. Brand awareness to who? Who is your target audience? And I often say to people, so who's your target market? And they go, oh, everyone. Everyone buys our product or service. Now, that is a death knell on social media. If you try to talk to a 25-year-old woman and a 50-year-old man at the same time on social media, you will totally miss them both. It'll just go over their head. So you're going, here's my product or service, young woman and old man. Not that 50 is an old man. I'm getting there, I guess. Mark, you're not an old man. So what we need to think about on social media is who is the core. And if we target that core audience and we create content for them that they engage with, they will spread your message through their friend networks to the younger people and to the older people. So that's what we start to need to think about. Let's really refine who that target audience is. Does that make sense? So this is supposedly a practical session. I've done a fair bit of talking. But we'll move into something now because, again, there are sheets. And if you don't have a sheet, please just look at the person next to you or jump to a table where they do have them. So we need consistency in our voice. And when we think of that target, that core audience, who are they going to relate to? So if I'm selling women's shoes, it totally shouldn't be my voice going, oh, check out these black shoes. We probably need someone a little bit younger, a little bit cooler, probably female if I'm selling women's shoes, who can talk the language to the people who are going to buy my product or service. Makes sense, doesn't it? So just super quickly, this is like, remember like an equalizer? Those old enough, like a stereo, you have an equalizer? So what I want you to do, thinking about your brand or business, is tick one of these boxes. Are you fun? Or are you serious? Or are you a little bit in between? Are you edgy? Or are you conservative? Or are you somewhere in between? And there's obviously no middle box because people go, oh, we're probably somewhere in the middle. So you need to choose a side. You need to choose an edge to reach these people and to cut through all that noise on social media. So you've got about a couple of minutes. Go through and just tick the box. And again, what I'm doing here, I'm training you in how we take our clients through this stuff. So you might not nail it today, but these are exercises you can take back to your team and come up with an amazing content strategy at the end of it. But you've got a couple of minutes. How was that exercise? Helpful? What's really interesting, and so this is what we'll do, we'll work with a team from the one company, as I was saying it to these guys, and you get people to do this individually, and then you come back and you go, oh my God, they're miles different. So if you don't know what your brand voice is, how the hell are you going to communicate that to your core audience? So often what we'll do, and I'll go from 1 to 4. So fun is 1, and that's 4. So who were 1 for fun? Yeah, 2, 3, 4, cool. And edgy, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, if you're sitting at the same table, it'd be interesting to see if you're in your teams, if your hands go up at different places. Loud, 1, 2, 3, 4. Contemporary, 1, 2, 3, 4. Minimal, 1, 2, 3, 4. High tech, 1, 2, 3, 4. Libby, did you say you're high tech? Wow, that's interesting. Spontaneous, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So again, what I would be doing is marking these up on a board, and then we'd go through and sort of start debating is probably a strong word. Arguing is even stronger. We'd start a discussion around where we think our brand should be. And I was talking to a gentleman here who said, this is where we are, and I've actually marked where we want to be. So just starting to have that little conversation as well, and it might be something that you move through. Something that just came up as well, I was speaking to a woman down here who's in an accounting firm, thinking, what should they talk about? So they went down the quirky, oh my God, we're so fun path, and realized, oh, maybe that's not quite us, and then sort of moved back into the business side, so working out where to sit. And this comes down to the objectives as well. So thinking about your business, why are you using social media? So for some businesses, like mine, it's not an acquisition channel. And just having that in your mind, go, oh, I'm probably not going to get customers from social media. Well, that's cool. So what am I going to do then? So we talk about brand awareness or thought leadership. And so our content then reflects that. Instead of saying, hey, do you want to come and buy some social media? We're sort of going, here's a case study, or here's what just came out of the States, or something like that. So we're showing that we're at the cutting edge of the space, realizing we're not going to get clients from it necessarily. So that's probably just a key thing to have. Is it an acquisition channel for you? And if not, you're going to approach content differently. Next little exercises in your book. So in your book, in the thing that they've thrust at you as you walked in the door, there is the brand attributes. Is that what it says? Brand attributes? There was the brand voice exercise and the brand attributes one. So now your job is to go through that. Now they're chunked into sort of similar words, but what I want you to do is go through and choose 5 individual words, or like hard-working, call that one word. So go and choose 5, just maybe circle it or write it down. And again, I'll give you another minute or so to do that. Right. So how was that? Was it hard just choosing 5? I saw Jeff down there chose about 20. So that's the job. You've got to start to distill your brand, your message, what you're going to communicate down to that sort of voice. Because consistency is key. And so you might be posting every day, but then you might get an intern or somebody else might join in, and if they're using their personal voice, it's going to be quite jarring. So we need to think about what's our brand voice. And that's what these exercises are designed to do. And another thing is also understanding we might need a different flavor or communication on the different platforms. So we use the platforms differently. And a lot of marketers use sort of tools to help them with efficiencies. So we've got the Hootsuites, we've got the Sprout Socials. What else are people using to post? Okay, Hootsuite and Sprout Social. Plenty of other things out there. Now, what a lot of marketers tend to do is create one post and then fling it far and wide, because these tools allow us to do. And they go, yes, I'm so efficient. And your audience is going, this is horrible, and unsubscribe, unlike, get out of my feed, I'll report you to Facebook, all that kind of carry on. If you're using Instagram, don't put anything out there that doesn't look good, for God's sake. And accounting firms, maybe don't go on Instagram unless you've got an amazing building or your staff look amazing or something. So really understanding that the platforms are different, we use them differently, so posting the same content. Don't use hashtags on Facebook. God. So you're using, like, your people are posting on Instagram with all the hashtags, and they'll go, oh, I'll just push this button, and it'll go onto Facebook. And I'm so efficient. And your people are going, they don't know how to use Facebook. So we really need to understand what platforms are we using, and how are we going to use them, and what messaging are we going to use on those platforms. Now, who here has heaps of time? Oh, wow, there's one. So who's sort of sitting around going, shit, I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of the day? Is anybody in that sort of mode? So we're busy, right? So I've talked about the importance of creating engaging content, but it's hard to be creative when you're busy. So we go, God, it's Friday. I haven't posted since Monday. So here's that cat photo with my brand logo saying, Happy Friday, have a great weekend. And again, we're so efficient, we'll post it across all these platforms. And we think we've done our job, and then we do whatever we do. And your audience is going, this is horrific. You're wasting my time. You're cluttering up my newsfeed, even if they see it. Because you're probably just putting it on your page, and no one's seeing it anyway. So it's hard to be creative when you're busy. And we need to create this engagement that I keep talking about. So I'm going to take you through a framework that we use with all our clients and with ourselves as well. So we sort of go through monthly content cycles. So I'm going to take you through a bit of a case study. This case study is going to be for a brand called Only Good. Do we know Only Good? Yeah, it's like a face wash, body wash. And so what we do with a client is we say, and I made you go make your list of 5. Now I'm going to say, what are 3 core brand pillars that you want to talk to your audience about, and your audience actually wants to hear about? That core audience, what are they interested in? So, it's a brainstorming. You're sort of thinking about, what do you stand for? What are your values? So some people don't like the word brand. What about reputation? Or again, your values. What are those 3 core things that you want to communicate that differentiates you from your competitors? And again, your audience will allow this into their newsfeed. We want your audience to actually want to see your content, rather than you just finding new ways to interrupt them. Somebody write that down. That should be like a slogan or a hashtag or something. So we work in monthly content cycles where we look at these pillars and we go, okay, for the next month, what type of content can we produce that comes off this? Now, so then it kind of looks like this, where we have our pillars and we have our topics that come off the pillars, and then the triggers are the ideas behind your social media post. Doesn't matter if it's Facebook, doesn't matter if it's Twitter, doesn't matter if it's Instagram, it's brainstorming. The cool thing about doing this, because what you do, you give yourself an hour at the beginning of a month to come up with heaps of ideas. So you have creative time allocated. And I swear it will make your life so different, rather than going, oh, shit, I'm supposed to post something, and then just throwing something up. Because when you go through a brainstorm, often it's the rubbish ideas that come out at the beginning, and then you sort of get better, and you're starting to think, and you start to refine, and then you come up with better ideas. Yes, do we agree with that? So at the moment, if you're not doing it like this, you're just posting those rubbish ideas that first came into your head in the first place. So we want to be smarter than that. We want to refine what we're doing, and having a framework can help you do that for sure. Also, when you work like this, everything you say has a purpose. Everything is related back to your brand. So there's no, oh, it's Friday, go the All Blacks this weekend, and I'm the women's shoe brand. So it doesn't quite fit. I'll take you through some examples of how this looks in the real world. So that New Zealand-made pillar, we use examples, and what if my lasery thing? Oh, look. So we've got these beautiful New Zealand landscape images. And then we sometimes slip in the product. So the product doesn't necessarily have to be front and center all the time. In fact, it shouldn't be on social media. It's not marketing media, and it's not ad media. So we talk about, and a lot of marketers are not particularly good at social media. And same with business owners, actually. Because you have your product or service, and you really want to talk about it. Oh, the whole world needs to know about these shoes that I've got. So everybody have these shoes. And then what often people do, and agencies do this as well, they report on impressions. 1 million people saw the ad about the shoes. But impressions, it's rubbish. You've annoyed maybe 1 million people. So it's engagement of people going, I really like those shoes. That's the metric that we want to start thinking about. So again, people want to talk about their product or service. What we say is talk around your product or service and things that your audience are interested in and link it to your product or service. So for example, these are feel-good examples. So, you feel good eating the smoothie bowl and you feel good when you're using our product. And we're not bashing people over the head going, did you see the connection? They're kind of smart enough to pick that up for themselves. So you're producing quality content that they want to see in their news feed that's related or relatable to your brand. So if we talk about brand rather than product or service. Does that make sense? And investing in good content is also, buying stock photos or having a subscription to something if you're not able to produce a lot of content yourself. Obviously, good stock photos that are, again, aligned with your brand. Some people have talked about different ratios of how many posts you should do compared to, like, a selling one. Because, yeah, totally. We still need to sell if that's what we're using this stuff for. But it's about earning the right to sell. Not just being out there going, buy this for $5.99. People are going to go, no. But if you say, oh, we're into this, and we do this, and we do that, and you could get one for $5.99, people go, oh, that sounds amazing. So again, it's not talking about yourself all the time. That's really, really important. So we have our workbooks, and where's the page? What's it called? You've got that page that has this in it, and so what I want you to do, and this is quite a meaty exercise, is I want you to think about what could your 3 brand pillars be? And then sort of work through that. And for those of you who go, yep, cool, I've nailed that. Then, okay, what could our content topics be? Then when we've done that, okay, well, what are our triggers going to be? So this can take a while, and I'm actually going to make you sit down and do this because it's a very, very powerful exercise. And, one of the hardest things clients come to us is go, what are we going to talk about? And so this is a framework that it's a little bit clumsy at the beginning. You're trying to work out, well, hang on, my content pillars, well, surely it's my product. So no, not necessarily. And at this level, at the content pillar level, it needs to be broad. It needs to be like really big words like love or trust, belong anywhere, that kind of thing, rather than we sell nuts and bolts. So you can't go much further there. So if we start out really broad at pillar level, and then we can start to narrow down when we get into the triggers and things. Any questions about this process? Yes?
In regards to when you sit down with your clients and do this, do you then have, like, do you create the content for them, or do you provide a framework and a platform for them to do it themselves? How do you recommend this to you?
Sure. So the question was, when we do this with our clients, do we then go and produce the content for them and post it, or are we providing this framework for them to do? And both. So we have some clients who will come in at a strategy level, and this will be part of it. And most of them, we're their content production agency. So we come up with the content based, so we come up with these collaboratively at the beginning, and then we produce the content for them. And we just send them monthly reports. This is what's going on. Look how amazing your brand is. Just one thing, actually, before you get into this. This can sound fluffy. And you're like, but hang on, we sell nuts and bolts. And you haven't spoken about nuts and bolts. You're telling me about love and trust and all that stuff. This sells. We sell. We make money for our clients. So one of our first client was Hell Pizza 10 years ago, still with us to this day. If we don't post, they don't sell as much pizza. Their marketing manager goes, shit, my numbers are down, we need some sales. Guys, can you post about this? We post, boom, they sell pizza. And we're not necessarily yelling at people to buy this for $5.99. So it's about brand, it's about style, it's their essence is sort of coming through, and they make money. Only Good, we launched them on social media. Within 5 months, they were top of their tree or area or whatever, category. That's the word, not tree. We're not top of the tree. Top of their category, and ousted EcoStore, who'd been living at the top of that tree, I'm going to go back to tree, for forever. Like EcoStore, we loved them, and then Only Good came in, beautiful branding, really nice done, amazing social media, and they kick ass. Like they're doing really, really well. So I'm not teaching you it's not just the fluffy stuff, but this is what works on social media. If you start saying, buy my nuts and bolts for $5.99, you're just going to turn people off. Let's do that exercise. Whoa. Talk to that.
You fake it to find, but you wanna aim high, so stop feeding me. You know you're beautiful.
I'll just turn my background music down, not off, because I'm going to let you come back into this. But just a couple of things that I've heard. Some people going, this is hard. It is, like it is. And you don't have to come up with the 3 right away. Again, this is an exercise just to get you thinking. And the idea is that you would take this back with your teams and, work out what this actually means for us. The key point, again, is not being too narrow at this pillar level and starting to think about those big words and then what could flow from them. So you're really going, okay, it could be this, trusted, experienced. There was one over there, local. Local can be quite powerful. So the idea is that you're going to talk about things that aren't about you. Because guys, it pains me to say this, but you're not that interesting. I'm so sorry you had to hear it from me today. You're not that interesting. Not compared to my mum or my dog. So if you have a pillar that says local, and you start, again, if you're in a small town or a big town, and you start talking about the local community or the school or the gala, and you're showing that you're part of that community. You're part of the fabric of that small area. So you're talking about those things, and obviously, again, relating them back to your brand, but not in a clumsy way. So, hey, we went to the local school yesterday, And you can buy our nails for $5.99. Not like that. So you're just proving that you're part of the fabric in the content that you're producing. And the idea is when you do this, you start to balance your content, and you can start, when you're planning monthly, you can say, well, let's do a New Zealand made one on Monday, and we'll do a feel-good one on Friday before the weekend, and then maybe an inspiration one maybe on a Sunday night, something like that. So you're just starting to get a balance of your content rather than it's the same bloody photo again and again and again with a price on it. That's not what we're on social media to see. Cool? We'll keep going for a few more minutes, and then we'll talk about that, and then we'll sort of have some questions. Good times, yeah, yep, using our brains, and we've given ourselves time to be creative. So that's what this is all about. You're isolating yourself, you've got an exercise to do, and you're kind of locked in, you're in the moment, you're not doing 5 things at once, you've locked in some time to be creative. And time, as you know, is very valuable. And the funny, so we've been saying this for years, that social media is easy until you start doing it properly. And then you realize, oh my God, this is so hard. Can someone do this for me? And here's heaps of money. I only want heaps of money, please. I don't want a little bit of money. So yeah, it's a hard road to hoe. But the thing is, this medium, I reckon, will give you the best bang for buck compared to all the other things out there. And we can measure stuff. I was just saying back there, so with Hell Pizza, the question was, how do you know it's making sales? So we've got a little bit of code on their website that can measure or track that if somebody saw or engaged with our content on Facebook earlier in the day and then went to the website later and ordered $100 worth of pizza. And we can measure to the cent of how many people saw our content and then went and purchased. So there's a case study on our website where in one day we had a $3,000 advertising budget, and that translated into $54,000 of sales. So $3,000, marketing manager goes, here's $3,000, and I go, here's $54,000. He's like, you're a magician. And they've shifted their marketing budget into this space. I would love to say it goes in here, but it sort of goes to Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. Here you go, Mark, have some more money. So yeah, it's incredibly powerful when it's done correctly. And as I was sort of trying to say earlier, social media can be a complete waste of your time. If you're not using this medium correctly, it's a waste of time. And you're probably annoying the very people that you're actually wanting to communicate with. So thinking about this sort of structure, and again, this is, it's a bit of a process, and it's hard, I've got to be creative. It will give you the results because you're starting to think about things bigger than your product or service. What do you value? What does your audience value? And when you start speaking in those terms, you're building those kind of connections with people. Because if you're not competing on brand, you're competing on price. So with Only Good, again, we don't talk about soap at all. Because people don't give a shit about soap. And I'm only saying that because Jordan was swearing earlier, so I guess it's all right. People don't give a shit about soap. You've got to have it, otherwise you're smelly. You come to these things and people are going, why are you so smelly? Oh, I don't buy soap. So you're in the supermarket, there's heaps of soaps. Which one are you going to choose? And so it's typically brand or it's price. So putting some work in here and really understanding the essence and what you're trying to communicate, I promise you will give you results in the future. And just before I sort of ask questions, we can sort of talk about this thing. There's 3 things I reckon that nail social media. There's 3 things you need to do to get results out of social media. And the first one is having clear objectives. What are we using these platforms to do? And who are we talking to? And again, it's not everyone, because no one is everyone on social media. The second one is this content planning. Creating good content that your audience is actually engaged in. So we're producing stuff they want to see rather than just interrupting them. And the third one is advertising. So the advertising platforms on these social media networks are amazing. I can tell you some things about Facebook advertising. Some of you would get up and run screaming out of the room. We can shift elections with this stuff. I can show you how to do that. They just did it. But we talk about using this powerful medium for good. So let's produce the right content and put it in front of the right people. Because as soon as you spend $1 on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, you can then start to target where your message is going. So we can really, again, isolate that core group of people who are going to be our champions and spread our message across their sort of friend networks. Some takeaways. The takeaways are, again, those clear objectives, good content planning, and really investing some time into these advertising platforms and learning how to do it. In fact, I probably should have just given you this at the beginning, and then I could have sat down for the rest of it. So there's a website, www.facebookblueprint.com. Who's been there before? It's an online training platform produced by Facebook of everything to do with Facebook and Instagram. How do I post? Go here. Here's a 5-minute thing that will show you. How do I use the ad platform? Here's a thing that will take you 10 minutes to learn. So super, super helpful. But I really, the big thing I want you to get out of today is please start producing good content. Please, thank you. And put it in front of the right people. I don't need to see your ads for women's shoes. I don't. I'm trying to think what I do want to see. No, I won't say it. So yeah, producing the right content to put in front of the right people, because there's no excuse to not do that. That's what these platforms are designed to do. So no more rubbish, no more shouting at everybody, no more broadcasting one way. Let's start getting engaging content. So thank you for your time, and we've got like 8 minutes if there are any questions either on this framework or of anything else that we've sort of been going on about. Are you going to be the mic dude? There's a guy there with his hand up. Thank you.
I missed the beginning part of your lecture. Really nice job, by the way.
Thank
Got
you.
a lot out of this. What kind of brands does your organization work with currently?
Yeah, that's a really good question. What kind of brands do we work with? So everyone, but I said that's not very good, did I? So what we know really works well on social media is FMCG products. So business to consumer, food, like fast-moving consumer goods. Food, products, things that people will buy, generally do really, really well. And it's kind of become a little bit of a niche for us that we sort of play in that space. At the same time, we work with government organizations. We've worked with big corporates. We've done some work with ANZ, AA Insurance, Airbnb, Hell Pizza, so all sorts. But what we've worked out is we can't really work with the smaller type of businesses. And if you're a small business, the investment probably comes in yourself about being able to produce this stuff for yourself, because it's really expensive to create good content like what I'm sort of talking about here. I know there are people out there who go, oh, I'll post all your stuff for $100 a week or a month or whatever. That's cool as long as you direct them with this kind of stuff. Because at the moment, otherwise they're just putting stuff on your Facebook page. And you're going, oh, it's only $100, but it's $100 that you're wasting if it's just ending up there and no one's seeing it. Yep. Sorry.
What percentage or proportion of, with your clients, obviously there's the paid element, and I'm just wondering, do you, for the content creation, it is such a heavy resource for your team, but on a general, generally speaking with a client, is it sort of 60% spent on their own content production from your agency, 40% of that goes towards marketing or Facebook advertising?
Yeah, so I'll try and answer it. So as far as like the posts that we produce, so we typically will produce all their content. And then of that, how much percentage do you think we're boosting? From 0 to 100%, so let's say we create 15 pieces of content for this client. Of the 15, what percentage of that are we spending money on to move it from there to there? 100%. We boost everything. And if you're not boosting, you're wasting your time. You're not able to put the right message in front of that right person. You're just dropping stuff on your Facebook page. So it can be as little as $5 on a post will allow you to get into that targeting and go, you know what? It's women between 25 and 35 who are most engaged about my product or service. So I'm going to put my messages in front of them. I was talking to a guy who runs a small business on K Road. It's that rolled ice cream stuff. It's amazing. You get like a Mars bar and you chop it up and you make a thing. And he only targets women between, I think he said between like 18 and 25 or something. They're the ones with the sweet teeth. Do you have sweet teeth? Sweet tooth? They've got the sweet tooth. So that's his target. And they roll on in and bring their boyfriends along with them, who take the photos of them with their ice cream. So he knows his target market. He knows who buys his ice creams. So when you start spending that money, I promise you, your results will be exponential. I should work for Facebook, God. Oh, sorry.
John, 2 questions, and you touched on photos before, but how off-putting are stock photos that aren't New Zealand related? And second question around using Facebook competitions to create content and create community.
That's a really good one. So with the stock, yeah, it's got to look New Zealand, or at least on brand. So again, Only Good, they do have a bit of an international flavor, and they can get some pretty Instagram type photos which work with the brand. I think we had someone like this yoga-y thing. Is that New Zealand? Maybe not, but the essence is on brand. So just making sure that essence is on brand, and it's not, cheesy Americans like that doesn't really translate. Yeah, high five, high five. The second question, so competitions, every one of our clients pretty much will do, we call them engagement campaigns, and it's that comment to enter type thing. The secret is asking people to be a little bit clever and making sure it's on brand. What I don't want to see from you, please, is like our page, tag 5 of your sisters, share this with 9 of your brothers, and take a selfie hopping with our product in shot. So ask people to do one thing, and please, in a creative way. Asking people to tag people or share as a method of entry is against Facebook's terms and conditions. So you see it a lot. Share this and be in to win. So that's against Facebook's terms and conditions. We've seen, at worst, pages taken down for breaching that. And we've also seen people lose their advertising rights or ability. Their ad platform gets shut down. So getting people to comment is a great way of doing it, because when they comment, what happens if you comment to something on Facebook? Yeah, your friend sees that. John likes this. Oh, well, I like John, and John likes that. Maybe I'll like that. So that's that viral way of doing things. So you're kind of, yeah, you're making something go viral, essentially. Yes. So tagging, asking people to tag or share as a method of entry into your competition goes against their terms and conditions. There's one
Question
hey.
from a lot of small business owners that are doing it themselves is around the difference between boosting and promoting. So actually turning the post into an ad rather than just pressing the boost button.
Yeah, so boosting and promoting, same thing. So we, in our language, we have posts and ads, and we boost our posts, which essentially turn them into ads. The difference is posts, they live on your page, and then we boost them by spending some money, which sends them into the news feed of our target audience. And then when our money runs out or the time frame finishes, it still lives on the page. But an ad just lives in here, in the news feed. It's not on your page itself.
So is there any difference between when they see it on their page and Facebook gives them this little prompt that says, would you like to boost this post, or going into their ad manager account and then saying create an ad out of that post?
Same thing. Yep.
Because that's a real common question.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. So yeah, boosting and promoting, same thing. Yep.
Hi, you've talked about Facebook ads for basically the whole thing. What is your agency's and your personal opinion on Google Ads?
So that's really interesting. And what was interesting was hearing Jordan earlier. So which platform did he say got the most views and things?
Facebook.
You're right, which he was angry about because it doesn't give him any money. So we used to run Google Ads as well as part of campaigns. And then we just went, we get way more bang for buck out of Facebook ads, comparatively. Google ads, there's a whole industry out there, super powerful. They're generally for people who are searching for something already, so they're ready to buy, so super powerful. Where Facebook advertising comes in, you're sort of capturing people at the top of the funnel. They don't know necessarily that they want your product or service. They're accidentally kind of finding out. So they work well together, yeah, but we don't do it.
Okay, and is there any kind of industry or anything that would work better with one or the other? Or is it really just Facebook?
Yeah, well, again, if you're in that sort of B2B space or an accounting firm, Facebook might not be the best place for you. And having a really good blog, which helps with search, that kind of stuff, again, that thought leadership, being on LinkedIn, maybe Twitter. Twitter isn't really a big deal in New Zealand, funnily enough. So yeah, that's what I would say. B2B, it's hard. It's much harder because people don't care.
Sorry, no more questions. I'm sorry, we're going to have to cut John short. I know lots of you got lots more that you want to hear from John, but we're about to go to lunch.
Cool.
So you can hassle him over lunch there. I've given them permission.